Spider. Spider. That's how I opened the plays to this game. I pointed out the fact that this game has microtransactions. Come on. We've all got to say it. All in unison with the inverted commas. Microtransactions.
Now look at it.
Yet another augmented terror attack.
There's always a problem with me and microtransactions. And that's the fact that whenever they're there, whenever they're in a game, they're always in the back of my head. Now, I know I kind of took the thing from Nerd Cubed when I done the whole spider analogy, but I'm not terrified of spiders, but I still have the same mentality of there's a spider. I said in the video that earlier that day there was a spider on my mic, and another good point to bring up is whenever I'm going to bed and there's a spider in my bedroom, I, in my right mind, cannot sleep in that room until that spider is in the toilet.
And I intend to make good use of you.
I have that inkling of there's a spider in the room. I don't want that thing to be on the ceiling and drop into my mouth while I'm sleeping. I'm just saying, it's that mentality. So when there's a bit of, oh look, you can purchase things with real money and advance in this game, I have this mental bit, this bit in the back of my head going, there's a spider. Is this affecting how this game has been made? Now, of course, the developer and the publisher went, oh no, you can completely do things with the yes and the yes narrow. It's completely optimized, so you don't have to buy things. You don't have to. Really? Are you sure? Because on my first playthrough, I encountered multiple times when I had moments of, yeah, I could pay for all of this stuff with the in-game currency, but I don't have that money. One of the first moments that you have to pay for something with money is when you're helping the woman who's forging documents, and then Aranka Bauer, I think it's Aranka, is, ooh look, split personality and robot hand and such.
We've got a UC in there. Might be easier to maintain his cover if he's not the only one
that
still breathing.
First mission where there's 30,000, you have to pay 30,000 to do this without changing anything, without anyone dying, without anything being considered good, at least in my mind. When something's okay, you're being the good guy in this game, you're doing the thing for more people than less.
Give me something I can use up close.
The Jack Bauer way of doing it.
One last thing, Jensen.
And
Singh said the Jinn are using some sort of portable Wi-Fi device.
yeah, the 30,000 is something I can't achieve right
Keep an eye
now,
out for it. We're not really on the
even
clock here, so
in
there's a sandstorm
New
brewing.
Game Plus, which
There
is
is,
where
and we
this
got the
footage
intel on this
comes
mission
from.
at the very
This
last
footage is
minute.
from me
So we're
a couple
scrambling
hours
a
ago,
little. If it comes
doing
to
the
it, your number one
beginning
priority is
of
keeping
New
the
Game
gin
Plus.
out of that HQ.
And
Copy that.
yeah,
Your happy thoughts, gentlemen.
yeah,
We're approaching the target building.
those moments
You're
of,
up first, Jensen. Let's do this.
is this optimized so they are making more money? Because I can see them doing that. I can see the spider in my room. And I don't like that. And that's the thing, I didn't have an interest for this game at all when I first saw it. When I first saw this, it was at E3 2016, I want to say. Yeah, it was. There was the, ooh, look, it looks pretty. And I was like, yeah, it does look pretty, but there's nothing there that has interested me. I will say this is the first Deus Ex game that I've played, and we'll get on to what I actually think of it later, but I didn't get that I want to play that.
Leader, this is Jensen.
I didn't get the feeling of
Move into the building.
I
The
need
access
to
route
play
to
that.
the quarters at the far
That's
end of
going
the
to be a
penthouse.
must-have.
Keep in mind, the direct
I
route
had-
might not be the easiest one.
Roger that.
Yeah, that looks pretty, but is it like Tomb Raider? Because if you don't know, Deus Ex is produced by Square Enix. Square Enix are the people that rebooted Tomb Raider.
Initiated.
Yes, into that crap one. The one that is a cover shooter more than Tomb Raider. It is in the fucking title. Tomb Raider. What do you do in that? You shoot people. What? Yeah, sure, you shoot a dinosaur in the face, but... No, you shouldn't be behind cover shooting people. You should be jumping about, going whee, and spinning and doing stuff and locking an old man in a freezer and stuff. That's what Tomb Raider is, not empowerment and sticking behind cover. And I'm all for women having empowerment. That's kind of the point of being liberal. But don't make Lara Croft stick behind cover. That is not Lara Croft. Lara Croft is gonna shoot a fucking dinosaur in the face. That's the point. She is a badass woman. Yeah, she's smuggling melons, but fuck it. Who says a sexy woman can't be badass? That's kind of the point, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about Deus Ex and how Square Enix really put me off by doing that reboot bollocks. So that's why I didn't go, yeah, I need to play that. I have this mentality of Square Enix. No. Just no. No.
McCready, how you making out?
No.
Slower than expected.
Square Enix?
Someone's tilled a fucking cemetery down
Probably
Say
fine.
again.
When the shit hit the fan in 27,
but-
the rush must have been for the stairs.
No.
There's corpses
No.
everywhere.
Just no.
A lot of your cousins are here too, Jensen. You want me
So
to
yeah,
grab
I
you
had
spare parts?
No parts.
interest in
But
this
take
game.
mine with cream and 2 sugars while you're asking.
I just didn't know what it was before. I knew of the, if you go behind cover, it goes into third person, but if you're playing normally, you'll see just first person. And I know I'm going to get a complaint about, oh, you're not playing Deus Ex properly, you're only ever in the first person view. You should be in third person, first person, third person, first person, third person, blah 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 blah. No, I shouldn't. It's a stealth game. I'm going to sneak around and I'm going to punch people in the face. Not kill them, but just punch them. We'll get onto that in a minute, but yeah, I just didn't feel like this was going to be something I liked. Then I played it and completed it this past Sunday, and yeah, that changed my opinion. I personally think this will be one of the games that I played this year. Now, of course, if you don't know, I do a thing of games that I have played this past year, not games of the year, because a lot of the time I just don't play anything brand new. I mean, I have played some things that are brand new before they're even out, but we'll get on to that when I do my list later this year. But this, I think, is going to be up there. It's still a good game. It did something that I thought it wouldn't. It outperformed what I thought it would, because it was very... I thought it was going to be very, ooh, pretty, but no substance. Because that's my expectation of modern games, really. Especially when they have microtransactions. But now it's actively good. It's actively something that I sat and played for hours. I honestly sat for eight hours. Eight hours of sitting and playing the game. I lost 8 hours, to give a better explanation. When I say I lose X amount of hours in a game, that's when I like it. There's a game that I played a couple days ago. I think it's in the first impressions, and it's just mind-numbing in a good way. I lose track of time. I don't think I remember any time passing, but time passed, and it was... Oh yes, it was a couple hours later. So... yeah... to say I like Deus Ex Mankind Divided would be about right. I at least like it. And I like it for what it did in some ways. Now, I know it was kind of a controversy for them to do it, but what the fuck is wrong with people? Right, so my understanding of the apartheid that happens to be in the game, the very controversial apartheid in the game was, I don't think there's a better way of showing how racism and xenophobia and all other aspects of bigotry happens to affect someone's life. Now, to explain that, when I first played Deus Ex Mankind Divided, I just walked down the human lines. I was like, fuck it, I don't care. I don't care if you're going to stop me. I'm human. I am human. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you want to call me a clank or whatever. I am at heart human. Well, technically I'm not. I've still got a couple bits of metal in there, but at least I can live longer than you bastard. A couple hours later, like maybe mission 5, I was in the AUG line.
Listen up, everyone.
I was complying with their rules because it was faster. It was faster to comply with going into that line and maybe taking a bit of time out of my day, but not as much time as being individually stopped on every single turn.
I'll repatch us once the deal kicks off.
That is why I think the moments of the apartheid in this game really works, because it shows not a sense of I hate you, it shows a sense of, yet now I know why people comply with that. I still hate the person, but I see that sometimes it's not always their fault. There's some people who have to do that. And I'm like, right, I'll just comply. And that's a fucked up sense of reality to live in, especially when you outrank every single person that stops you, but there's still this sense of, okay, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I'll go now, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes. Yes, thank you. There's no sense of, you know what? You stop me again, I'm gonna fucking hit you.
Miller,
there is a bit in the back of my head going,
should make it harder for them.
if I could hit this person. But I know that the shit would hit the fan. I know I would be shot immediately. So I don't. Especially when I'm doing a no-kill run. But there's still that sense of, I want to hit you, but I just have to comply. I just have to deal with this. There's nothing I can do about this. Yeah, that's an odd thing to have as an experience in a game when you're
Jensen, we're inside the
just
atrium, taking up positions
playing
on
a
the
game
terraces.
and
Watch the 20.
Still moving.
you get a moment
Hurry the
of
fuck up. Enemy helos inbound, and this sandstorm's
real
getting close. You get that comms
humility.
booster disabled?
Affirmative. Boosters fresh.
Not that
Maybe
that
the team man does
translated
have a heart after
into
all.
the story,
Way to look after
because
your team. Creepy
whenever I had the chance to maybe fuck someone over that I didn't like, I took it and I ran with it and I done everything.
Shouldn't be a problem. Over.
So from now on, there will be spoilers. So, spoiler alert. But you should kind of get that.
All right, strike force, position and hold.
So,
Strike one.
you have two options when it comes to things that... Okay, you have two options. Both lead to the same thing. Believe me, I've checked. You get the same amount of information. You might get a different bit of information. Well, you don't get a different bit of information. You get a different variant of how that information comes about. For example, you can go save the Church of the Machine God thing and have the same information. Or you can go into a bank and steal information and get the exact same thing, just with a little less security of what that thing happens to be. So, yeah. I stuck with the Machine God one there. So, people that I didn't like that I got to slightly screw over.
Miller, this isn't the
So,
gin.
you're
Not the gin.
You're an agent for Interpol. Adam Jensen works for Interpol, a government, well, world organization that is counter-terrorism. And there's this guy above you, this
I got it.
your boss, essentially, called Jim. This guy called Jim kind of pissed me off. I don't know why, but he didn't piss me off. I just wanted to annoy him,
Jensen, this sandstorm might have just
which
bought
is
us some
weird,
time,
but nonetheless.
you need to disable that chopper.
When I got to go into his apartment and got to steal his stuff, I felt so happy looking in his underwear drawer and finding out all his little dirty secrets and everything about him, because it was weird to have that experience of this guy's your boss. Nah, I have that sense of I'm gonna fuck him over. He's actually a nice guy in the story. There's someone else that's a dick, but Jim's kind of Jim is the red herring. And yeah. I mean, I played the game to my own politics of, okay, who does this affect? Does this affect more people or less people? Because if less people are going to die to this action, then I'm going to take this action. If less people are going to die to the other action, then that one. Whatever I felt was going to be the lesser of two evils, I went with, because I'm sane. Or at least that's my idea of sanity. And
Step it up. That chopper's about to
yeah. yeah, I didn't really go with the Juggernaut Collective a lot of the time. I may have had a little, okay, I'll do this little bit for you and then this a little bit, but I didn't go for a full-blown, yeah, anarchy, woo! I went with, right, I can see Jim is trying to do the best, and I can see his struggle with his superiors, if you will, but I still think he is trying to do best by people. So, yes.
Miller.
So the story isn't perfect. It isn't the best story. There's a red herring and such, and you're like, yeah, ooh, yes, ooh. But I don't think it's perfect, and I don't think it's great and magical and wonderful, but I still think it's a fun game. If you like stealth, then you'll fucking love this. If you like no kill runs, oh my god, I think I spent 20 hours in the game, which is a bit longer than you're supposed to do, but keep in mind, I was being as stealthy as possible and not killing anyone, so quite a bit of my time was reloading when shit hit the fan, is how I want to explain it. And on the PlayStation 4, the load times are ridiculous. That and a little bit of the frame rate dropping because it hasn't loaded up everything in the area just yet when you're running about, and it's still very pretty, but it's pretty for a PlayStation game, or a game on PlayStation, but it's still not perfect. I mean, that's kind of the point of a console. Consoles are meant to be the cheaper, more accessible thing than a computer that has the highest graphics card that you have to maintain every 2 years or so.
I won't let it happen.
And yeah, it kind of suffers from that
Downtime. I'll get to the office as soon as
thing
I
of
can, but my Augs took a hit
there's a
during the
couple dropped frames, it lags a bit, it's got a couple of problems, but back to the story, it's still good. It's still,
If the hot dogs aren't your main business, why don't you?
it's still good enough to keep your attention, but it's not.
Pass on the savings to the customers.
In my opinion, it wasn't the driving force. My driving force was,
Well, I got info. The kind that's worth something.
I just want to play more of this. I just want to stealth about a bit more. I just want
I
to
only accept payment in Europozine.
try to do more awesome stuff. And I like that. I like the essence of
Sophisticated choice.
being in a bank for 2 hours stealing money and everything else, because that's what I did. I gave a guy $5,000 so I could go and steal 4 bottles of neuropazine and
Taking everything I had.
spent 2 hours in the bank
Dr. Kohler,
just heisting the place and
Now's actually a really good time for me.
taking everything that I could.
something wrong?
There are some guys in my bookshop.
I'm here.
Pissed off the valley gangster-looking guys. So, unless
And as I said earlier, I'm in the New Game Plus already. Days after completing the game, I have done the whole, right, throw me into this world again, because I just love the feel of it. It's very alive. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of interaction. Yeah, sure, there's a lot of repeated dialogue if you stay in an area for too long, but in general, any game will do that. Wrestling games are famous for doing it if you're in a match for too long. Grand Theft Auto does it if you're playing for X amount of time. You start realizing that the dialogue's repeating and you're like, ah, that kind of pulls me out of the world. But a lot of the time, put it this way, it is like Die Hard. It changes every time you go into the scene. There's a bit of different lighting, there's a new character popped up in this area, there's something new. I mean, there's parts of Prague, the main area, where you open the game in the day, you go to, what's it called? There's a place that they send you to get this information from a guy and his friend, but when you come back, it's night and the lighting's changed. There's a new part of the map open. There's a new part of a gang that's opened up. Everything's changed, and you're like, right, shit. Then you go to Switzerland, and when you come back, it's martial law. You're not allowed on the streets, so you have to stealth your way about the street. And it's all changed again, and vehicles have moved and everything. And there's no one but the cops on the street and a couple people that have been arrested. So you have this sense of, shit, everything's changed. It's all alive, it's all very flowing and different and smooth. And I enjoy when games do that. I enjoy when games change up the lighting and change up things when it's a very linear path for the map. I mean, something like Grand Theft Auto does that every 20 minutes. It does a day and night cycle, that's kind of the point. Whereas this changes in a linear fashion, and it helps keep the vibe of the city alive. It keeps the pace going, because you do about 5 missions and it changes, and then you do another 5 missions and it's changed, and another 5 and it's changed again. And that's very, very good for a game that is changing pace and changing direction every now and then, and I like that. And it keeps up with the story, and I personally think this is going to be in the high end of games I've played this year.
Milena.
Now, keep in mind, that's an exclusive list of Grand Theft Auto and Watch Dogs.
Thank God. I don't know how you did it, but I'm glad you did. Listen, if you ever need documents...
That's a high list to live up to. Especially for Square Enix, of whom I still hate for the fucking cover shooter bastard. Fucking... fuckers. Anyway, I highly recommend checking out Deus Ex. Right. I don't fully suggest playing it on PlayStation 4, but if that's all you can play on, then have fun with it, because it is a good game. I kind of got past the frame rate issues and all of that, but then again, that's me. I don't really have that hierarchy of everything must be 60 FPS, 4K, everything, surround sound, all of that. I don't have that. Yes, everything must be perfect and wonderful and oh yes.
I'm down in the dungeon, man.
I'm fine having slightly subpar things, but then again, that's just me. I am subpar. But as I said, that's me. The PC port, I've heard a couple bad things about it. I've heard that MSAA, is it MSAA? Yeah, crashes, well, not crashes, but it tanks the frame rate. But they might have fixed that by now. I've heard that there's a couple crashing problems on the first boot up, then you change a setting and then it's fine from there on. There's a bit where things stay up, but it's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but it does deserve what many critics have given it, apart from IGN, because of course it's IGN. Most reviewers gave this about a 7 out of 10, and I fully agree with that, even though I don't agree with the whole numerical nonsense and aggregate scores that make no sense. I still agree that this is a solid maybe 7 out of 10, because it is that. It kept my interest. It was keeping my interest out of the gameplay and a little bit of the side missions. There's one side mission that is very Witcher-like, and any game that I can go, yeah, there's a bit of this story bit that's like The Witcher, I think I'm going to fully endorse any game that does that. But what do I know? I'm just some idiot with a microphone. See you next time. Bye.
Sometimes people don't have a choice. My systems took a hit. I was hoping you could help me get everything running again.
Took a hit? You mean... Oh, shit! Why didn't you say so? We need to get you in the chair. The chair.